Hi, with your 485 Sports Update, I'm John Voncannon, and looking at some SPC conference action. Of course, we started the conference season in high school football a week ago. By the way, in the background is the newest member of our Radio Free Cabarrus team, and he wants to get his voice in, and that being Trey the Traffic Cat. So maybe he will join us during this report. Mark, you hired a cat. Just to let you know. All right, so 3 games, of course, each week in the SPC, and the game Chris Hudson and I did pretty much went as expected. Cottsville with a fairly easy victory over Concord, although if Concord had taken care of some special teams issues, might have been a bit closer, but Cottsville was also without 2 of their better offensive players and still had a fairly easy victory. Also, Northwest Cabarrus with a fairly easy victory as expected over J.M. Robinson, but the game everybody's talking about, Central Cabarrus for the first time ever defeating the Kannapolis A.L. Brown Wonders. It went to overtime, and the Vikings were able to score the touchdown from Boykins and set off just a massive celebration. So now it really sets kind of an interesting scenario, I think, coming into the next week of games, and that is the game, of course, that Chris and I have, and that'll be Concord at J.M. Robinson. Probably the battle to avoid last place in the SPC. Then you got Cottsville on the road up at Memorial Stadium in Kannapolis, and this is probably the Chargers' really first attempt to say we belong in the top tier of teams. Meanwhile, Kannapolis going to try to shake off the bad taste in their mouth from that Central loss. And then, of course, the really big game, and that's at Northwest Cabarrus, where they welcome the Central Cabarrus Vikings, and it's a real challenge for the Vikings. Can they gear up for another week against another tough conference opponent? And if Central wins, really, they're going to be the team with the inside track because their schedule becomes a whole lot easier after this. But if Northwest Cabarrus should hold home field advantage and win, then that sets up the battle possibly for first place with Kannapolis at Memorial Stadium the following Friday night. And that sets up the potential for a 3-way tie between Central, Northwest, and Kannapolis. And it's kind of sad in a way that we're, obviously the schedule makers don't know. We always think, well, the Spiders, the Wonders, they're going to be on top. But now, really all the big games are in the first few weeks of the season, and maybe the easier games for the top teams are in the end of the season. Doesn't always work out that way. But then there's that Cottsville team, and really that's why I think this Charger Wonder game could be very, very interesting if Cottsville somehow could pull up the upset. Remember, the Wonders had this big run from 1976. They lost to Northwest Cabarrus until 2012 when they lost to Hickory Ridge. The only team during that time to beat the Wonders, the Concord Spiders, in that Bell game. Never happened for Central, never happened for Northwest. Hickory Ridge finally broke through in 2012 with that absolutely massive game from Nick Tyson, but the Wonders got revenge in the playoffs. And then last year, it was J.M. Robinson winning the SPC, getting a touchdown victory over at the Wonderland. So a couple teams have broken through. Had the Wonders lost their aura, obviously they're still a very good team under Mike Newsome, and obviously a lot of talent led by Medley at quarterback and so many good players around. But maybe now it is either Central's turn, Northwest's turn, and that's where this game up at Trojan Stadium is going to be really, really massive. So all those games are Friday night right here on Radio Free Cabarrus. For the 485 Sports Report, I'm John Voncannon.
Shaked Bar-Tal is here for the 485 Sports Report. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, young and old, I want to talk with you about the game that I had the privilege of broadcasting last week, the game of the decade, along with Mark Clemens and Perry Gabriel, the game between A.L. Brown and Central Cabarrus. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those who might not know this, Central Cabarrus coming to the game hasn't beat A.L. Brown even one time. Their first meeting was back in 1981. And Central Cabarrus, ladies and gentlemen, this past Friday night, they beat the A.L. Brown Wonders in overtime, 33-30. Central Cabarrus improved the record to 7-0 on the season. A.L. Brown fell down to 4-3 on the season. Central Cabarrus is 1-0 in the conference SPC. A.L. Brown is 0-1 in the SPC. Put that aside, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of who you pull for, or whether you you pull for one of this team. That game was absolutely a classic type of a game that, honestly, as a broadcaster, this felt like I was broadcasting the Super Bowl with fans waiting in line, waiting to get into the stadium. 1 hour before gates were opened, with already 50 plus cars parked in the parking lot as early as 5:30, with fans from both teams. Whenever their teams were on defense, they were on their feet and they were very loud. That myself, in the press box, when I had the headset on, I had to put both of my hands on the headset because I couldn't hear anything. I could barely hear what Mark Clarence or Perry Gabriel was trying to say because their fans were loud and we heard you, and that was a great sight. Coaches were fired up. That was a game that I'm sure everyone will remember for years and years to come. This is Shaked Bar-Tal for the 485 Sport Report.